Hey guys, you're probably expecting a white guy, weren't you? My name is Raul Tavella. I'm the iamcatholicproject's producer. Today we're having a bit of a fun episode. We're going to be asking Marco some impromptu questions, and also we're looking forward to, in future episodes, inviting you guys as well to ask your questions and make this a little bit more interesting and really put him on the spot. So let's start with the first question. Marco, you ready?
Yeah.
You ready? Cool.
A bit worried,
cool.
but yeah.
You worried? Nah, chill, man. These questions are cool. So Marco, my first question for you is, if you could go back and give 18-year-old you one sentence of advice, what would it be?
Oh, hectic.
He would have to go way, way back, by the way.
That's rude. I would love to say words, but I'm on camera right now.
Yeah, you are.
That's a good question. In relation to what? In relation to my faith, in relation to life, what would you, to my cooking journey?
I guess when you were 18, where did you feel your faith was? What were some struggles that you dealt with and that you may have overcome? And what advice would you give your younger self then in overcoming those struggles? Okay,
I'll be harsh on myself and then I'll also be easy on myself. First thing, and I can list a name of, I can give you a list of people's names who would agree with the first thing they have to say about this. Chief amongst which definitely my friend Diane would be that I was way too high on my own supply. Like I was very high. I was super, I'd say super prideful, super vain in where I was in the faith, and I kind of thought I was the hottest thing since sliced bread when it came to youth ministry at the time. So the first thing that I would say is, like, remember, this isn't about you, this is about God, right? And this is something that I wrestle with sometimes to this day, to be completely honest as well. So it would be the harsh thing, I'd say, like, this isn't about you, this is about God. But I think the follow-up would be, the nicer thing would be that, like, I think that in itself is a symptom that's like insecurity in my opinion. And so what I would also do is, and I probably wouldn't have been open to hearing it, but I also would remind myself that God loves me and I don't have to try and prove it. I don't have to try and prove everything to everyone, and I don't have to try and earn his love, which again is something that I still struggle with today. So that would probably be it. But I guess the difference between today and then would be like the extent to which it was, or maybe I'm still there. Ask Diane. But I think
Diane.
I think the what I would maybe be saying is, at least I have a little bit more of an appreciation for it now, whereas previously I was completely blind to this reality and blind to my pride. And I know that that's my biggest issue. So that would be it.
Cool. I want to build on that question a little bit more, though. I think you mentioned, like, telling your younger self it's not about you, it's about God. Would this be like specifically in like some youth ministry that you were doing? Do you feel like you put yourself like ahead of God, maybe wanting to, I don't know, be the center of attention and just trying to be like the best youth minister, but forgetting that it's not really about that, possibly?
It's 100%, right? Like, okay. I think that I won't lie. And I preach to myself first. My parish priest has this great saying, it's when he says, he goes up and he preaches to himself first. And so I'm preaching to myself first. When I say that, I do believe there's a lot of people who are in ministry, and I'm not talking about my region or my community, I'm not trying to add to anyone over here, but I do believe there's a lot of people who are almost using God to get themselves to quite a substantial level. And it's... I know God draws straight with crooked lines, and again, like, he will take our brokenness and our failings and he's going to make special things happen. So, like, thank goodness he's not waiting for us to get out of the way for him to do special things. But I do think what I was doing, and what I feel like I still do, and what sometimes other people do, is that they must use God as the platform to get their name out there, or they use God as the platform to I don't want to say get famous, because I don't think it's that simplistic, and I truly don't think that anyone intends to do it, because I do think that that's malicious. But I do think that there's it's a bit of an overlap, right, between me getting famous and me trying to communicate God. And I think that sometimes people prioritizing the getting famous over the communicating God, if that makes sense.
No, I 100% agree. Next question, and I really like this question. I think it's going to challenge you a bit because it's not very, I don't feel like it's a question that invites like that Catholic answer. So let's see what you got. What's something you used to believe about God or faith that you don't anymore?
Oof.
Mark on the spot.
I mean, there's a lot of things. So, I mean, okay, yeah, I'll tie it back to the previous answer. It's almost that you have to earn God's love. I think that's something that I really grappled with. And it's like the only, and this speaks to like a deep personal kind of insecurity. Like I'm only worthy of love if I'm earning it, right? And to be clear, like don't go into the psychoanalysis of that. I grew up in a fantastic home and family where I was surrounded by love. So it's not like there was this deficiency of love growing up or anything like that. But it's more along the lines of like, I do think that for a long time, I felt like I wasn't worthy of being loved if I didn't earn it. And so that obviously, as I said, manifested in trying to do things for God and, you know, help God and assist God. And I think that this is something a lot of people struggle with. That I have to prove that I love Him or that I have to earn His love. And the truth is that there is, Maverick City's got a song called Gyra. It's very popular. But I just love the line where it's like, I can never be more loved than I am right now, right? Like there's literally nothing that I can do to make God love me more, to make God love me less. He loves me perfectly and entirely now. And I think that was eye-opening for me.
That was a great answer, man. I love that song, Gyra, by the way. It's cool.
So right, it's a good song.
That's really cool. Okay, next question. What's your most unusual or embarrassing church moment?
Oh.
There's quite a few. I've sat next to this guy at church. There's a lot.
And I'm very devout and respectful. There's nothing wrong with me in church. Okay, there's a litany. There's a long line of embarrassing church. The first time I ever altar served, and ironically, it's also the last time I altar served for more than a decade. I was in grade 4, I think it was, or I can't remember. Grade 4, grade 6, one of them, and I'd never altar served before, and I basically got asked, okay, well, yeah, you're going to altar serve. Didn't know what I was doing, didn't know where I was going, but I knew that I had to get dressed up in the altar server, garments with the belt, and obviously I know what those garments are now, but at that point I didn't, and I was like, so I didn't know where the cloak was, and I didn't know where the rope was. Obviously the cincture and the alban. I couldn't find one that fit me. So I was like, but I did know that there was a chapel in my school. So we ran to the other side of the school, found out that the chapel was closed and locked. By the time we got back, Mass had already started. Yeah. So the altar servers were late for Mass. And it was just me and this other dude. And Mass started we were in the creed at that point. So
you weren't late for Mass, you missed Mass.
I was properly late. No, sorry, not the creed. We were at the Confiteor, and I had to awkwardly shuffle up. We walked to the side of Mass and we walked up the stairs, and we just pretended like we were there the whole time. But now we are in front of the whole school looking at us. And I remember being like, "This is a low moment. This is a pretty low moment."
That was pretty low.
Yeah, I mean, it gets worse. There's other things that I can remember. That would probably be the first one, and one of the. When I was younger, I remember trying to convince my mom to let us go out for dinner after Mass instead of going home for dinner. And so my mom was like, well, if you're well behaved in Mass, as a parent does. And I promised that whole Mass, I was like, I'm going to be the most well behaved possible. It lasted literally a minute and a bit. I was probably the naughtiest I'd ever been in Mass, just consciously trying to be well behaved. Okay. Time for communion, and I went up to get my blessing. At that point I hadn't received my first Holy Communion. Came back, sat down, and I just got immediately bored. I was rocking up and down in the pew. I remember just not thinking about what was going on, and I fell out of the pew. I proper fell out into the middle of where everyone's received communion. Now they're walking down the side of the church. Fell down, hit my head so loud against the wall. everyone in the church just stared to look at me, and I remember being, I don't think I'm going out for dinner after this. Like, it just wasn't that. It was just, I mean, there's a whole line of embarrassing moments. I think to save myself from getting cancelled, I'm going to step over here. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I want to try fit in one last question. I think this is an important question, and a lot of the audience, our viewers, may have this question in mind. Why?
I'm not interested.
No, it's a chill question. It's not terrible, but maybe I'll think of a terrible question. Why did you start the I Am Catholic project?
Oof. You know what? It's a good question. I'll give you the answer when we get to 1 million subs.
1 million subs. You heard it right here, guys. If you want to know why you started this channel, 1 million subs.
There we go. Any other questions?
Okay. Another question. And a lot of people have actually approached me individually about this one. So I got you guys. Why so many videos about dating? Are you okay? Who hurt you?
Anyway, so that's been this.
By the way, I've also recommended it.
Sorry?
No, I'm saying I've also recommended him because...
No, honestly, that the dating, and Raul's my witness. We made the first dating video kind of just like there or thereabouts. Like, we don't know what's going to happen and we don't know how it's going to go. And people responded really, really well to it. And then we were like, well, I kind of thought about it and I was like, okay, well, I mean, we can't just leave it at like one kind of. I had more questions. I know that other people had more questions, and so we started asking more questions, and that's why the dating series happened. But what I do think is just the response that we've got from it has been really, really interesting, because it's clear that there's this need. It's clear that there's a real challenge when it comes to dating in the Catholic Church, and not just the Catholic Church. I know this is globally, society, but I think that the Catholic Church, or at least Christianity, God has the answer. And like, for me, dating is again like this urge and this want to date, and the struggle with being single is there's this underlying desire for being validated and feeling like you're being seen, and fundamentally being appreciated, respected, and loved. And I feel like the only place that we can get those answers is from God, and that was why we started with the dating series, and it built out into what it is. And I do believe we'll probably come back to this. We'll probably dive down deeper into it, because I think that as much as I gave my perspective, there's a lot of people who have some pretty unique and interesting perspectives to add to it as well. So I'd love to see what it is that they have to say. And if you have any other questions actually associated with the dating series or in and around that, maybe it's from a relationship perspective, right? I was thinking about this. What happens if one day I do get into a relationship and I'm like, being in a relationship sucks. It's not going to be a good look for me. But I do think that there's a lot of different ways of coming at that series, and interesting questions that we haven't asked. Watch this space.
Okay, cool, man. Thank you for your on-the-spot segment. I think you did really well, dude. Yeah, no, but that was awesome. And we'll obviously like to invite you guys to like, subscribe, and comment. Leave some questions in the comments. And next month, when are we doing this again?
Actually, I don't know. Let's see how this goes, right?
Hey, if we get enough questions, we'll run it back. Cool. My name is Raul Tavella. I'm Catholic and I'm proud. Ciao, guys.